Welcome to Community Connections, brought to you by Synapcity, featuring conversations, stories, and interviews with Ottawa's leading changemakers. Enjoy this episode. For this episode of Community Connections, we featured an interview with Alta Vista Ward candidate, Carolyn Kropp. Thanks to Carolyn for joining us on this episode. All right, welcome into another episode of Community Conversations. And today we are joined by Alta Vista Ward candidate, Carolyn Kropp. And Carolyn was born and raised in the Alta Vista Ward, where she attended elementary, intermediate, and high school. She completed a master's degree in public administration at Carleton University, and she and her husband are raising 4 children in the ward. Carolyn has deep roots in the community and has been dedicated advocate and volunteer. She has helped lead local volunteer organizations such as the Alta Vista Cooperative Nursery School, Pleasant Park School Council, and the grassroots non-for-profit Màmawi Together. Carolyn has further served the community while working alongside Ottawa South MPP John Fraser since 2016. She has come to know and care about the people who live, work, and raise their families in the Alta Vista Ward, while also advocating on behalf of numerous organizations, businesses, community associations, leaders, and residents. Carolyn is also a runner, cyclist, and triathlete, and she has completed numerous marathons. So congratulations on that, Carolyn. Not an easy task. So welcome, Carolyn Kropp, into Community Conversations. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with a little bit of an introduction. We kind of had one there, but tell us a bit about yourself and what qualifies you to be a city councillor.
So based on the little bit that you recited and that I've been telling people at the doors, so I think I have a bird's eye view of the ward, thanks to having lived in many of the different neighborhoods in the ward over the years, and having volunteered in many of the different neighborhoods of the ward, and working professionally through all the neighborhoods in the ward. So that's given me a chance to get to know people intimately, to work with them on volunteer organizations intimately. I'm not just coming from one community association perspective, or one council perspective, or one neighborhood perspective. I really do believe and know that I have a perspective that encompasses almost every neighborhood in the ward, and that experience will help me relate better to residents and communicate with them and work with them.
So Alta interesting ward. It's growing in leaps and bounds. What do you feel are some of the key issues facing the ward in the years to come?
So the biggest issue that people have been telling me at the doors is, of course, intensification and growth coming in. I think that covers every ward across the city, but it's definitely a major concern here in Alta Vista. Transit concerns, local bus routes are not where they should be. And so people are having great difficulty getting around the whole city, let alone the ward. Housing is a concern, safe streets, and protection of our green spaces and the environment.
Yeah, no, those are all really hot topics. So let's delve in a little bit more to the housing and development issue. How would you help tackle affordable housing in your ward while also holding developers at task?
So it's a great question. I don't think we've done a great job so far in the ward. It's been very difficult, and I know the feeling from talking to thousands of residents at the doors is that they feel that it's a foregone conclusion that developers have carte blanche almost, and can come in and do what they like, and there hasn't been very much advocacy or defending of what residents are looking for in a specific neighborhood, much less across the city. So that's definitely something that as a councillor, we need to have a strong voice and to advocate and defend what residents would like to see happen. I'm certainly a proponent for balanced growth. We can't stop growth. Every city across the country and the world is growing, but to have a balanced look at it. And one of the great things why people move into Alta Vista is for its unique characteristic, the tree canopy. We're one of the older neighborhoods in the city. And so we have that history, we have that architecture. We have those type of tree covered streets. And when you see those disappear, that matters to people and it makes a difference. So that's taking developers to task. It's just using tools that we have and maybe creating new tools in our tool belt, the city as a whole, much less councilors, to make sure that residents are being listened to and that there's transparency in all at all levels in terms of a development proposal to final decisions and votes being taken.
Yeah, great points. I love the idea of making it a little bit more transparent and getting people involved in the process right from the beginning. So transportation is another major topic in your ward. A couple questions on that. How would you improve transit options in your ward, and how would you encourage sustainable transportation across our city?
So yeah, great questions. Local transit in the ward has not been at levels of service where people want them to be. We need efficient and effective local transportation routes, bus routes, and we haven't seen that in a while. There were high expectations for LRT, the phases of LRT so far, and those expectations were not met. And in doing so, the city reduced local service. And Alta Vista is feeling that and has been feeling that for a while. So people, it takes them double the time to get downtown on a bus as opposed to a car. And that defeats the purpose completely of what the city is trying to do with its climate action plan. We're in a climate emergency and we're trying to get more cars off the road. We're trying to be as environmentally responsible and sustainable as possible. And not having that level of public transportation available to people is just not there. The other added component to that is LRT. It's on everyone's mind. And so my view on that is that there is an inquiry in process. We're waiting for the recommendations to come out from that. And I think the city and all councillors need to implement those recommendations because they're coming from the experts. We need to fix the LRT. We need to get the LRT working. We need to rebuild the trust that's been broken between residents and the city. After that, we can start having conversations about many different things like free transit, ridership, how do we increase ridership? There are lots of pressures coming at the city and a new normal following all the pandemic related obstacles that have hit public transportation and the realities of a changing downtown core and working from home realities. So all of those need to be taken into account. And that's going to be a hard challenge for any new councillor and new mayor coming into City Hall.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a new normal, so definitely need to adjust there. Just on the transportation file, maybe a couple of words about the Alta Vista corridor plan. We know it's a little bit controversial. Is that something you support?
No, as hopefully most residents have seen, I've come out very strongly against it. I do feel that it needs to be taken off the books finally and off the master transportation plan. Again, we all know it was on the books. It's been on the books for many, many years. It just doesn't make sense anymore. Given that we're in a climate emergency, I think everyone's priorities have changed over the decades, and we enjoy the community gardens. The ABTC would go right through and uproot community gardens, cycling pathway infrastructures, walking pathways, and just green space and tree canopy, all the things that we say we want to keep and preserve and protect, and yet that would go completely against it. Yeah, so I think we need to foster what we have, protect what we have. We talk a lot about food insecurity, and it's a citywide issue. It's also very prevalent here in the ward in certain neighborhoods. And so the community gardens, one of the biggest shelters, has their own garden here. And so to eliminate that does not make sense.
Yeah, no, great points. Absolutely, all those good things, and yeah, it just doesn't make sense to make it a little bit faster to get to the highway, right? So,
And I think we can find alternative solutions. So it's not just a blanket no, we have to look for alternate solutions. And that's part of what being a counselor is, it's great to take a position on something, but then you have to sort of offer up solutions for the people that are feeling the opposite effects of things. So there's a lot of heavy truck traffic on Alta Vista Drive. People would like that eliminated. So how are we going to do that? We have a lot of people coming in over to the hospitals. How do we get them from points A to point B? So those are all things that we have to look at. And I'm quite willing to, again, not the expert necessarily in transit or urban planning, and I never profess to be. So I would love to work with the experts and outside experts to see how we can find alternate solutions other than having a road or buses go through the ABTC corridor.
yeah, no, great points. Absolutely love the idea of providing those alternative solutions, not just saying no, but saying no, but here's a few other things. So, transportation, housing, you mentioned climate, all of these topics come with large financial costs. What is your philosophy around taxes and spending? Just how should our city budget work?
So that's everyone's preoccupation at the door, of course. And in this present day and age, with high cost of inflation, the cost of goods and groceries and labor increasing every day, everyone's feeling the pinch in their pocketbooks, and the city's feeling those pressures. And so how do you balance those pressures and trying to keep taxes affordable for people? So that's my take on it, is to try and keep them as affordable as possible. I'm not making any wild promises of reducing them, or yeah, we just need to, again, it's very difficult to speak on it since I haven't been at the budget table. As a first-time person coming into office, I do know what the current budget looks like. I do know how the budget is supposed to work. But again, there are a lot of unknowns. And I think once whoever is elected as councillor and comes to the council table, there will be a few unknowns that the city will get hit with, and you have to be able to rise to those challenges and figure out what's best. But again, I maintain that I would try and keep taxes as affordable as possible for people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's talk a bit about diversity. We know Alta Vista is a very diverse ward, and I'm wondering, how would you plan to represent that diversity if elected?
So having worked in the ward and in each neighborhood for almost the past 7 years professionally, I've come to know many of the communities, and we're extremely diverse. And it's a pleasure working with each and every community. And so I know that there are many different languages, many different nationalities, and you want to bring everyone together. Part of what I've been hearing and what was actually seen at some of the debates is even just the Francophone community. They're looking for a councillor who is fully bilingual, if not Francophone. And they've been surprised that some of the candidates chose to not actually answer a question in French, even though they are able to. And that just, that sets the stage right there. So my focus is to prove to people that I'm willing to communicate with them in their language, especially I'm fully bilingual. So Francophones deserve to have services and communication from their councillor in the language of their choice. And that also means having worked in a community office for the past 7 years, I also know different languages need to be represented. So you find staff that can speak different languages, because that's that's putting your effort into action. Is if you know that there's a need there, you do something to address that need. So if it means having staff on hand that can speak different languages, then you have that because you know that that need is there. It's the same thing as simple. One of my priorities is to open a community office just to make the council more accessible to seniors, to people in low income, people with young families, to be able to come to a location in the ward as opposed to having to go downtown to City Hall, and just being more accessible to people for offering printing services even. Many seniors don't have computers, printers, so just that type of day in, day out service and that acknowledgement that people need very simple things and to be able to provide that service to them. And at the end of the day, that's really what a counselor's job is to do, I believe. It's customer service. And I believe I have the most experience in that, to be able to, you're there to serve the residents of the ward. They have elected you, and so that is your ultimate job.
Yeah, no, great points about the language. And yeah, absolutely. Didn't ever think of it that way, but it is the ultimate customer service job. Absolutely. So when it comes, another topic that is big in your ward is safety. We hear a lot of people talking about it. And when it comes to improving community safety, what issues come to mind as the most urgent to address in your ward?
So safety can mean different things to different people. It can be traffic, road safety. So lots of discussions about traffic calming measures, what's working, what's not working in the ward. And it also means, of course, crime. And people feeling safe in their homes, feeling safe at night, and then safety across the city. And we know that we have issues with that, obviously. I've taken the time to actually speak with our community policing officers, who are great resources in the community and who liaise with all the community associations and residents one-on-one. Every time there's a crime that occurs, they reach out. They've started a new trial of reaching out through Facebook community groups, which has been wonderful. The uptake has been great, and residents really appreciate having that one-on-one and immediate interaction with a community policing officer. But they're a finite resource, and they are strapped. It's a big population to serve. And so that's something that I would always focus on, is to make sure that the community policing officers have the resources that they need on hand. The other aspect of safety that they bring up, and that we all are aware of, but we don't necessarily talk about very much, is what's behind the crime. What's fueling the petty thefts, the rifling through cars for change, going through carports and garages. And it's the root causes are usually drug addiction, homelessness, and just people not having the resources, the money, or the help that they need to get them off the streets, if that's the case, or mental health help, or an addiction help. And so that's definitely one of the things that the community policing officers have said, is to, as councillor, is to help fund more money into public health resources. Because at the end of the day, public health is who is helping those people in need who are causing the crime. And so we have to look at that. And as a city, we need to take care of those who are struggling, because it'll only make our city better. So we, as a community, we have to come together. We have to work with our frontline agencies that are doing great work, like Southeast Ottawa Community Health Centre, any of the safe injection sites downtown, and those types of organizations, and to work with police. And that should, and hopefully will, make our communities safer overall.
Yeah, great points about getting to the root causes, right? We don't want a band-aid solution. We want to be able to kind of dig deep and check the root causes, and hopefully be able to rectify some of that. So as we all know, we are going to have a new mayor on Monday. I'm wondering, what would you like to see this mayor prioritize across the city, and how do you feel like that you'd be able to work with the successful candidate?
So I feel that I can work with anyone, and I've been saying that at the doors all along. I don't have a preference for a mayoralty candidate. And that's sort of what I would bring, is that collaboration, that need for collaboration, that need for teamwork around the council table, working with a new mayor, new councillors, and re-elected councillors. At the same time, we have, again, outside pressures that are coming at us from the provincial level, where they are adding in extra mayoralty powers. And we're hearing that they're coming down with some new regulations and powers next week as well, in terms of inclusionary zoning and just things that would change the whole look and feel of how development charges work for cities, specifically Ottawa and Toronto. And so that I won't say too strong of a word to say attacks our democratic fabric, but it does affect potentially how council will work together. And so I appreciate each of the mayoral candidates saying that they will not use the strong mayor powers. And my job as a strong councillor, if elected, would be to hold them to that promise, because the people of Alta Vista are electing someone that represents them. And they want that person to have a full seat at the table and for their votes to count. And so we need to make sure that that is the case at all times at the council table, and to work together collaboratively and as a team.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And, absolutely echo you in the sense that, we want to keep that democracy going and make sure everybody's voice is heard. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Carolyn. I'm wishing you great success on Monday. Are there any last words you'd like to leave our audience with?
No, I've had a great time speaking with residents at the doors. And my goal has been to try and introduce myself to each and every one of them. And so for anyone that I've missed, I hope to see you in the neighborhood again very soon. And I would be honored to serve the residents of Alta Vista.
Well, thanks again, Carolyn, and best of luck on Monday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Community Connections, brought to you by Synapcity. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Until next time, stay connected.